The newspaper crinkled between my fingers as I folded it back to the sports section. Saturday mornings had their own rhythm now. Coffee, silence, and the ghost of Martha's presence. 3 years alone, and the stillness in my small kitchen was a constant companion. The phone's shrill ring cut through the quiet. Coffee sloshed onto the paper. Who called at 10:30 on a Saturday? Hello, Donald. The voice carried that familiar chill. My son-in-law's practiced politeness that never quite masked his discomfort. It's Richard. I straightened in the wooden chair. Richard never called. Ever. Richard, everything all right? Rachel insists I call you about something. The words were measured and reluctant. My mother's birthday dinner tonight. Serenity Thompson's birthday. I'd forgotten, though Rachel had mentioned it. The way he said, insists, made it clear this invitation wasn't his idea. I see. She thinks you should come. Yes. Well. The family's gathering at 7 o'clock. Worthington Hills Country Club. Worthington Hills. Where the valet parking costs more than my weekly grocery budget. Dress is business casual. The club has standards. The word standards landed like a small punch, reminding me where I stood in their world. I'll be there. Fine. 7 o'clock sharp. They don't hold reservations. He hung up before I could respond. I looked down at my faded Ohio State t-shirt. Business casual at Worthington Hills. Translation: don't embarrass us more than necessary. But Rachel had asked for me. That meant something. I pushed back from the table. I needed a decent outfit and a respectable gift. After a shower, I pulled a navy blue dress shirt from my closet. Dark enough to hide any concerns. Martha used to iron my shirts with military precision. Now, I managed. The drive to Eastland Mall took 15 minutes. Inside, I found myself studying the other shoppers, wondering who belonged at Worthington Hills and who, like me, would stick out like a grease stain on silk. Can I help you find something? The sales clerk, a woman who understood working for a living, appeared beside me. Birthday gift for my son-in-law's mother. Complicated, I admitted. She led me to a display and pulled out a silver picture frame. Elegant, but not flashy. The price tag was $68, more than I usually spent. The first time I met Serenity and Palmer Thompson, her face when Rachel introduced me still burned clear in my mind. The moment of confusion when she realized her daughter-in-law's father fixed cars for a living. I'll take it. The clerk wrapped it carefully, providing a professional presentation for my amateur money. Walking back to my Toyota, I felt like I was dressing up for people who'd already decided I didn't belong. But this was for Rachel. I checked the clock. 12:40. Time to head home and start the 2-hour drive to Dublin, carrying a $68 piece offering toward a party where peace seemed unlikely. Interstate 70 stretched ahead. I was right on schedule for a 4:30 arrival. Then, the Mercedes appeared ahead like a silver beacon, hazard lights blinking on the highway shoulder. My mechanic's instincts kicked in immediately. Someone needed help. I pulled the Toyota behind the luxury car. A woman stood beside the open hood, silver hair catching the sunlight, wearing a navy blazer that looked expensive. She appeared composed, but clearly out of her element. Car trouble. I called out. The engine just died, she said. All the warning lights came on at once. I'm Donald. Used to work on cars professionally. Mind if I take a look? She hesitated, then extended her hand. Lauren Whitfield. I'd appreciate any insight you might have. Her handshake was firm, confident. What happened right before it quit? Strange noise from under the hood, almost like grinding. Then the temperature gauge shot up and everything went silent. Sounds like your water pump failed, I diagnosed immediately. Usually takes the serpentine belt with it. Is that fixable here? I grabbed my toolkit. Let's see what we're dealing with. The contrast between my worn Toyota and her current year luxury sedan wasn't lost on either of us. Leaning over the engine, I saw the shredded belt and coolant everywhere. Good news and bad news. Good news is I can probably get you running again. Bad news is it's going to take some time. Lauren checked her slim gold watch. How much time? Hour and a half, maybe 2. Assuming I can jury-rig a temporary fix. The alternative is calling a tow truck and waiting until Monday. She looked down the empty highway, then back at me. If you're willing to try, I'd be grateful. What do you need me to do? Stay clear of the traffic side, mostly. This is going to get messy. I rolled up my sleeves and dove into the engine bay, my hands instantly covered in road grime and coolant. This was the kind of repair that separated real mechanics from parts changers. You're missing your Saturday afternoon for this, she observed. Cars don't respect social calendars, I replied, wrestling with a stubborn bolt. Had somewhere to be myself. I hope this doesn't make you late. We'll see. Where were you headed? Same thing, actually. Birthday celebration. Lauren's tone suggested complications there, too. Small world. The coincidence felt odd, but not impossible. Saturday evenings in Ohio probably hosted thousands of birthday parties. Still, something in Lauren's voice suggested her gathering might be as challenging as mine. I returned to the repair, losing myself in the familiar rhythm of problem-solving. Remove damaged parts, improvise, and make it work long enough to get home. Time compressed. Traffic hummed past. My hands worked their way through the complicated German engineering like muscle memory. 40 minutes into the repair, the alternator housing came free, revealing the real culprit, worn brushes and a seized bearing. How long have you been doing this? Lauren asked from her safe distance. Started when I was 16. 46 years, give or take. That's impressive. Most people our age are slowing down. Cars keep me honest. Either you fix them right or they leave you stranded. Like mine just did. Exactly. I set the damaged alternator on my fender, pulling a rebuilt spare from my emergency kit. Good thing I'm old-fashioned about carrying backup parts. Picked this up from a junkyard last month. Cleaned it up during slow evenings. You never know when you'll need it. Lauren studied the components. Most people would just call roadside assistance. Most people don't know how to fix what breaks, I observed. There's something to be said for self-reliance. My late husband used to say the same thing. I caught the past tense. Different field, but the same principle. Sorry for your loss. Thank you. It's been 5 years, but sometimes it feels like yesterday. Lost my wife 3 years ago. Cancer. I'm sorry too, she said with genuine sympathy. It changes everything, doesn't it? Changes how you spend your time. That's certain. I worked the new alternator into position. Makes you think about what matters. That's surprisingly philosophical for engine repair. My wife used to say I thought too much about simple things. Maybe thinking about simple things keeps us sane. Something in her tone suggested she understood complicated thinking too well. I looked up from the engine bay. You're gathering tonight. Family, business associates mostly? Though sometimes the difference gets blurry. What about yours? Family, my daughter's in-laws. I kept my tone neutral. Not exactly my crowd, but you show up when family asks. Even when it's complicated, especially then. Lauren nodded, clearly understanding obligations that stretched beyond comfort zones. The repair was nearly complete, but I regretted the approaching end of our accidental partnership. Almost finished, I announced. You've been incredibly kind. I know this has made you late. Sometimes being late is worth it. I tested the belt tension one final time. Ready to see if this works. I climbed into the Mercedes. The key turned, and the engine caught immediately, running smooth and steady. Success. That sounds completely different, Lauren observed. Should give you another 100,000 miles at least. I climbed out, wiping my hands. What do I owe you? Nothing. Happy to help. Donald, you can't be serious. You've given up your entire afternoon. Used your own equipment. Sometimes people need help. That's all. She hesitated. At least let me pay for the parts. That alternator had to cost something. $15 at the junkyard. I've got more than I'll ever use. I closed my toolbox. Besides, what goes around comes around. Someone helped me once when I needed it. This feels wrong. Trust me, it's not. Lauren returned her wallet to her purse slowly. Then at least give me your phone number. I'd like to stay in touch. That surprised me. You sure about that? Very sure. It's not often you meet genuinely decent people. I gave her my number, and she entered it, calling me immediately to confirm. Lauren Whitfield, I said, adding her contact information. There, now you're in my phone and you're in mine. She smiled. Donald Campbell, Highway Angel. Just Donald's fine. I hate to cut this short, but I really should get moving, Lauren said, checking her watch. I'm already terribly late. Yeah, me too. I forced a casual tone. Where are you headed, if you don't mind me asking? Dublin area. You? Same area, actually. Small world. She extended her hand. Thank you doesn't begin to cover what you've done today. Her grip was firm and warm. Take care of yourself, Lauren. You too, Donald, and I mean it about staying in touch. I watched her settle into the driver's seat. The Mercedes purred contentedly. From my car, I grabbed the gift bag. At least I wouldn't arrive empty-handed, even if I was embarrassingly late. Lauren's window rolled down as she prepared to merge. Drive safely. You too, and call if you have any more car trouble. I waited a moment, watching her taillights disappear. My phone buzzed with a text message. Lauren's number. Your kindness restored my faith in people. Thank you. I typed back quickly, glad I could help. Safe travels. Starting my own engine, I felt a mix of satisfaction and anxiety. The Thompson party loomed, and I was now catastrophically late. Richard's cold invitation echoed in my memory. An hour later, I turned into the Worthington Hills subdivision. Every lawn was perfect, every driveway showcased expensive cars. My 10-year-old Toyota looked entirely out of place. The Thompson house sat like a monument to successful living. Walking up the driveway, I caught my reflection in a car window. Grease stains on my shirt, dirt under my fingernails, hair disheveled from highway wind. Not exactly business casual. The doorbell chimed. Serenity Thompson opened the door. Her expression shifted rapidly through surprise, assessment, and barely concealed horror. Donald, she said, confirming an unwelcome diagnosis. Mrs. Thompson, sorry I'm late. Happy birthday. I offered the gift bag, which she accepted with the tips of her fingers, as if worried about contamination. 2.5 hours late. Actually, had to help someone with car trouble. I see. Her tone suggested she saw quite a lot, none of it favorable. Richard, your guest has arrived. The pause before guest was freezing. Richard appeared, tie perfectly knotted, his eyes sweeping over my appearance with dismay. There you are. He managed to make it sound like an accusation. We were beginning to wonder if something had happened. Something did happen. Someone needed help. Right. He sipped his wine, struggling to handle my presence. Rachel emerged from the kitchen, beautiful in a navy dress. Her face lit up when she saw me, then dimmed as she took in my condition. Dad, I was so worried. She hugged me despite my disheveled state. Are you okay? I'm fine, sweetheart. Just got a little dirty helping someone whose car broke down. Serenity's expression suggested that getting dirty was something decent people simply didn't do. Perhaps you'd like to freshen up. The powder room is... He's fine as he is, Palmer Thompson's voice cut across the foyer. He preferred blunt dismissal. No point in pretending this is anything other than what it is. Rachel's face flushed. Palmer, please. Please, what? We're supposed to welcome him looking like he just crawled out from under an engine while we're entertaining actual business associates. The emphasis on actual landed like a physical blow. I felt the good feelings from helping Lauren begin to evaporate under the weight of their judgment. It was just car trouble, Rachel said quietly. Dad was helping someone. Of course he was. Serenity's smile could have cut glass. How very characteristic. Richard cleared his throat, clearly uncomfortable, but he didn't defend me. Just what? Palmer's voice carried authority. Pretend this is normal, that showing up looking like a garage mechanic to a birthday party is acceptable behavior? Rachel stepped between us. He didn't know he'd be helping with car repairs today. These things happen. These things, Serenity repeated, happen to certain types of people. The words hung in the air like poison. We moved toward the living room, and guests turned their heads, their conversations pausing as they took in my disheveled appearance. I stood in the center of the room like an exhibit, my grease-stained shirt judged against the marble tables and imported furniture. Well, Serenity announced to the room with theatrical precision, since Donald has finally graced us with his presence, perhaps we can begin the birthday celebration. Her words were filled with venom. I started toward an empty chair, but Serenity's voice cut across the room like a blade. Oh, I don't think so. The entire party froze. If you can't dress like a human being, she continued, her voice rising so every guest could hear, then don't sit at the table with human beings. The silence that followed was absolute. Rachel's face went white. Mom, Serenity. That's my father. Your father, Richard added with calculated cruelty, who apparently thinks birthday parties are appropriate places to display his hobby clothes. Either change into something civilized, Palmer ordered, or go home. We can't afford to have such a display at our celebration. Rachel stepped between me and her in-laws. Please don't do this. He helped someone whose car broke down. That's who he is. He helps people. Exactly the problem. Serenity's smile returned. Some people simply don't understand appropriate boundaries. I thought about Lauren, stranded on the highway, grateful for help. Her genuine appreciation stood in stark contrast to this elegant cruelty. They wanted to punish me for the same thing that earned her thanks. You know what? I said quietly, my voice steady. You're absolutely right. Rachel's eyes widened. Some people don't understand appropriate boundaries. I looked directly at Serenity, Richard, and Palmer. Some people think money makes them better than other human beings. The room atmosphere shifted. Some people, I continued, forget that character isn't for sale. Serenity's face flushed red. How dare you? I dare because someone needs to tell you the truth. I pulled out my keys. You want me gone? Fine. But remember this moment when you're wondering why decent people avoid you. Rachel moved toward me, tears forming. Dad, please don't go. It's just exactly what it is, sweetheart. I touched her shoulder gently. And you deserve better than this. I turned toward the foyer, my dignity intact. Behind me, Serenity's voice rose in indignation. Suddenly, the doorbell chimed, its classical notes cutting through the toxic atmosphere. Through the front window, I glimpsed silver paint and elegant curves, the Mercedes. My breath caught. The same luxury sedan I'd spent 2 hours repairing was now sitting in the Thompson driveway like an answered prayer. Car doors slammed. Lauren Whitfield appeared at the front door, perfectly composed, radiating quiet authority. Richard moved toward the entrance, his wine glass trembling. That must be the investor, Palmer finished, his voice tight with sudden panic. Lauren. The birthday party. The same gathering she'd mentioned on the highway. The door opened. Lauren stepped inside, her gaze sweeping the room until it landed on me. Her entire face lit up with genuine pleasure. Donald. Her voice carried across the space with unmistakable warmth. What a wonderful surprise to see you here. She moved toward me with the easy grace of an old friend. The Thompson family stood frozen, desperately trying to understand this connection. My family gathering, I repeated, the irony not lost on me. Actually, this is it. Lauren's eyebrows rose. Really? How lovely. What are the odds? She turned to include the Thompsons in her smile. Mrs. Whitfield, Palmer managed, his voice strangled with forced cheer. Welcome to our home. We're so honored to have you join us. The pleasure is entirely mine. Lauren's tone was gracious, but I saw her sharpen as she took in the tension. I do hope I'm not interrupting anything important. Serenity stepped forward, her transformation from contemptuous hostess to fawning supplicant instant. Not at all. We were just welcoming Donald to the party. How wonderful. Donald was such a lifesaver this afternoon. My car broke down on the highway, and he spent hours getting me back on the road. Refused to take any payment. Can you believe it? The silence was profound. Every eye moved between Lauren and me. Ours. Richard's voice cracked slightly. At least two, Lauren confirmed cheerfully. I was completely stranded until Donald stopped to help. Such kindness from a complete stranger. You don't see that often these days. Palmer cleared his throat, his panic growing. Yes, well, Donald he's very helpful. The word helpful came out sounding like a profound regret. Is everything quite all right? Lauren asked, her tone still pleasant but carrying an edge. There seems to be some tension in the air. Well, yes, Richard stammered. We were just discussing appropriate attire for the celebration. Attire? Lauren's eyebrows rose slightly. You mean the clothes Donald is wearing? The clothes he wore while repairing my car this afternoon? The clothes that got dirty because he spent 2 hours helping a stranger on the highway. Palmer's businessman instincts struggled against his panic. Mrs. Whitfield, you have to understand. We maintain certain standards. Standards? Lauren repeated the word like she was examining something foul. What exactly did you say to Donald about his appearance? Richard's wine glass finally slipped, shattering on the marble floor. Red wine spread across the white stone like blood. They said I couldn't sit at the table with human beings, I said quietly. Several guests gasped. Lauren's posture straightened, becoming formidable. I see. Her voice carried the chill of winter. And this is how you treat someone who spent his afternoon helping others. This is your definition of appropriate behavior. Mrs. Whitfield, please understand, Palmer began desperately. Oh, I understand perfectly. Lauren moved to stand beside me, her presence like armor. I understand that Donald sacrificed his afternoon to help a stranger, arrived late to your party because of his kindness, and was told he wasn't fit to sit with human beings. Serenity's face had gone chalk white. We didn't mean. You meant exactly what you said. Now, let me be equally clear about what I mean. She looked around the room, ensuring every guest heard. Either Donald sits at this table with the respect and dignity he deserves, or I walk out that door immediately. The silence was absolute. Palmer's mouth opened and closed. You're standing. Lauren's laugh held no warmth. Your standing is determined by how you treat people when you think no one important is watching. And I've been watching. She addressed the room. I've seen more character in this man's little finger than exists in this entire household combined. Anyone who disagrees is welcome to leave with the hosts. Not a single guest moved. Rachel stepped forward, tears in her eyes. Miss Whitfield, I'm so sorry. This isn't how I wanted this evening to go. The apology should come from your husband's family, dear. Lauren softened only for Rachel. You're not responsible for their choices. Palmer and Serenity exchanged desperate glances. Their birthday celebration had become a moral tribunal, with their most important guest serving as judge and jury. Of course, Donald is welcome at our table, Palmer said finally, his voice hollow with defeat. We were just concerned about his comfort. How thoughtful. Lauren's sarcasm was freezing. Then let's proceed to dinner, shall we? Donald, would you do me the honor of sitting beside me? I looked at her, this woman who had turned humiliation into vindication with nothing but moral authority. I'd be honored. I said. 20 minutes later, we sat around the mahogany dining table, an awkward assembly of forced civility. Lauren had the seat of honor, and I was beside her. Palmer, meanwhile, couldn't stop talking. "We're so pleased you could join us this evening, Mrs. Whitfield. Your reputation in the investment community precedes you." "Does it?" Lauren raised an eyebrow. "Oh, absolutely. When we heard you were considering our proposal, well..." Palmer's voice trailed off. "Your proposal?" Lauren's tone was perfectly neutral. Palmer tried to stop, but the truth tumbled out. "The expansion opportunity for Thompson Construction, the commercial development project we submitted to your firm last month." Understanding hit me like a physical blow. Lauren wasn't just a guest. She was their potential investor, the person who could make or break Palmer's business. And they had just spent the evening treating the man who helped her like garbage. "I see," Lauren said, setting down her fork. "Yes, I do evaluate investment opportunities through my venture capital firm, though I have to say tonight has been quite educational." Richard's wine glass stopped moving entirely. "You see, my investment decisions aren't based solely on financial projections. Character matters. Integrity matters. How people treat others when they think nobody important is watching. That matters enormously." Palmer's face had gone from red to gray. "Mrs. Whitfield, if there's been any misunderstanding..." "Oh, there's been no misunderstanding at all." Lauren's smile could have frozen fire. "I understand perfectly. You needed my investment, invited me to your party, and then spent the evening demonstrating exactly the kind of people you are." Serenity finally found her voice. "We were simply maintaining appropriate standards." "Standards?" Lauren's laugh held no warmth. "You told a man who'd spent his afternoon helping a stranger that he wasn't fit to sit with human beings. Is that your standard?" The cosmic justice of the situation felt perfect. "The irony is quite remarkable, don't you think?" Lauren continued. "The man you deemed unworthy of your company is the same person who spent 2 hours repairing my car this afternoon. Without him, I wouldn't have made it here at all." "We didn't know," Palmer stammered. "You didn't know. You judged Donald based on his appearance, his profession, his social status. You never bothered to consider his character, his kindness, his competence." Lauren took a sip of wine. "In my experience, those are far better indicators of a person's worth than the price of their clothing." Rachel had tears in her eyes. "Mrs. Whitfield, my father is a good man, the best man I know." "I can see that, dear. It's quite obvious to anyone with eyes to see. The question is whether your husband's family can see it." "I want you to understand something," Lauren said, addressing the Thompsons directly. "Donald Campbell stopped on a busy highway to help a complete stranger. He worked for 2 hours, got dirty, used his own tools and parts, and refused to accept any payment. He made himself late for your gathering because he prioritized helping someone in need." Her words hung in the air like an indictment. "And your response was to humiliate him for the very kindness that brought me here safely. That tells me everything I need to know about your character, and character, as I mentioned, is crucial to my investment decisions." Palmer's hands were shaking now. "Mrs. Whitfield, please. If you could find it in your heart to reconsider." "I've made my decision about the Thompson Construction investment," she announced. Palmer's face went the color of ash. "In my 30 years of venture capital investment, I've learned that numbers tell only part of the story. The most important factor in any business partnership is character." She looked around the table. "Character reveals itself in how people treat others when they believe no one important is watching. Those qualities aren't negotiable." "We had no way of knowing," Palmer pleaded. "That's precisely the point. You had no way of knowing Donald's connection to me, so you revealed your true selves. You demonstrated exactly the kind of character I cannot support." "What does this mean?" Rachel whispered. "It means," Lauren said clearly, "that I will not be investing in Thompson Construction. I cannot, in good conscience, support a business led by people who lack basic human decency." The silence was deafening. Palmer's financial ruin settled in. You treated Donald poorly because you thought it didn't matter, Lauren concluded. That tells me everything I need to know about your character and judgment. Character isn't something you can turn on and off based on who's watching. It's who you are when you think it doesn't matter. Standing in the foyer 10 minutes later, I retrieved my jacket. The Thompson house felt like a crime scene now, the surface beauty hiding the wreckage of exposed character. Rachel, eyes red, appeared beside me. Dad, I'm so sorry. I never wanted. I know, sweetheart. I pulled her into a gentle hug. None of this is your fault. Be yourself. That's all any of us can do. Lauren waited patiently by the door. I turned to her, surprised by my own boldness. Lauren, would you like to get some dinner? I know a place nearby that serves decent food without requiring a trust fund. Her smile was the first genuine warmth I'd seen all evening. I'd like that very much. We left the Thompson house behind, walking into the cool May evening air that felt like freedom. Your car or mine? Lauren asked, amusement dancing in her eyes. Mine's probably more reliable, I said, thinking of the alternator repair. During the short drive to Miller's Steakhouse, a local spot with no pretense, we talked about everything except the evening's drama. We settled into a corner booth, the red vinyl seats worn smooth by decades of honest meals. So, this has been quite a day, Lauren said after we ordered. That's one way to put it. I woke up this morning dreading a birthday party. Now I'm having dinner with someone who completely changed my perspective on everything. The universe has a sense of humor, doesn't it? I've spent 30 years evaluating people for business partnerships. Today I learned everything I needed to know in 2 hours on a highway. Can I ask you something? I said, cutting into my steak. Why does character matter so much in your business decisions? Lauren considered the question. Because everything else can be taught or hired. Market knowledge, financial skills, operational expertise. You can bring in consultants for those. But character, integrity, the way someone treats others when they think it doesn't matter, that's who people really are. And I've learned that bad character eventually destroys everything else, I added, agreeing with Lauren. The Thompson family learned that lesson the hard way tonight. They'll survive, Lauren said, without malice. Palmer will find other investors, though probably not on terms as favorable as mine would have been. Serenity will adapt her social life to match their reduced circumstances. Richard will keep his job and perhaps learn something about choosing sides. And Rachel will be fine. She has something her husband's family lacks. Genuine kindness. That'll carry her through whatever comes next. We talked for nearly 2 hours, covering everything from business philosophy to family history to the small pleasures that make life worthwhile. Lauren had grown up in modest circumstances and built her success through careful judgment and hard work. She'd been married for 35 years to a man who died of cancer, leaving her wealthy but lonely in ways money couldn't address. Friends become more precious as we get older, she said as we finished our coffee. Real friends, people who see who you actually are and like you anyway. I'd like to be that kind of friend, I said. You already are. Walking to our cars in the restaurant parking lot, I felt something I hadn't experienced since Martha died, genuine optimism about the future. Not just because of the evening's vindication, though justice felt good after years of being judged by the wrong criteria, but because I'd found someone who valued the same things I did. Donald, Lauren said, stopping beside her Mercedes, I want you to have my personal phone number, not the business line. Call me when you want to talk to someone who appreciates good character over good appearances. I programmed her number into my phone, right below Rachel's contact information. You realize you're going to hear from me regularly. I'm counting on it. Driving home through the quiet streets of Dublin, I reflected on the day's impossible journey, from highway assistance to moral vindication to genuine friendship. Martha would have loved Lauren, two women who understood that kindness mattered more than status, that helping others was its own reward. My phone buzzed with a text message. It was Lauren. Thank you for reminding me that good people still exist. Looking forward to our friendship. I typed back, thank you for seeing something worth defending. Drive safely. The apartment waited for me, small and modest, and exactly what I needed. but it no longer felt empty. Tomorrow would bring new possibilities. Coffee with a friend who values character. Conversations with someone who understood that dignity couldn't be purchased. Sometimes justice arrives wearing an elegant blazer and driving a Mercedes, armed with nothing but moral authority and the power to recognize authentic human worth. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the right.